Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East West Show, Jack Chow on the East West with Jenny TV. Today, on our weekly update, I have my good friend, Mr. Ken Hemming here, again, talking about our lovely country for what's new, what's been hot for the past week, for this very week, though, in this case. Welcome, Ken, to the show.
The world's on fire with activities going on, Jack, that will impact our country, and also for us to share this with your viewers is an honor of my life.
Okay, all right, good. And by the way, that said, though, the world is on fire, though. I'm talking about California first. California is on fire.
Yeah.
And Ken just told me that in the city of Santa Barbara, if you get a straw, somebody give you a straw
in a restaurant
for your coffee or soda,
yeah,
you go to jail for 6 months.
You can be arrested and sentenced to 6 months in jail.
That said, though, probably we want to do a little advertising. So next week on our weekly update, we will put together our radical laws for especially California.
It'd be really worth discussing.
It is really, I'm really getting upset by those laws, crazy laws.
I need my blood pressure pill. That's
right.
true.
I will double my blood pressure
pill.
Right, good.
Me too.
So top of the list today, security clearance to be eliminated from for many people.
The main thing here is like John Brennan, who is an ex-CIA director, okay, and also back in the 70s voted as a communist in America, all right? And he ends up at head of the CIA. Now he is no longer has that job, but after President Trump met with Putin in Moscow, he declared it was an act of treason by President Trump not to be more aggressively nasty to Putin. He called it treasonous, and for a year he has been saying unbelievable, horrible things about President Trump. Now, we do have freedom of speech. You can say what you want, but he also still has a top security clearance, and he's no longer an employee of the government.
But treason is too much a word.
Well, it's insanity.
You don't do it. You don't use that word on a day-to-day basis.
You don't do that. No.
Right.
By the way, treason. People that have been convicted of treason are punished by death.
I know.
You know,
so that's why I say
it's a lethal.
It's too much a strong word.
Oh yeah.
You don't use it with your local English whatsoever.
Right.
Your day-to-day vocabulary, though.
Right.
You better not use it.
You better not use it. No, that's
it's
right.
Too big.
And when you were one of the major protectors of the country,
it's bigger than killing. It's bigger than killing.
It's
bigger than even death. I would say.
Your country is everything.
For that, I believe that's a good move. That's a good thing.
Well,
right?
yeah, and then there's also Comey and Strzok that's been testifying. Lisa Page. A couple other guys that really are unbelievably anti-Trump. And what happens when you still have their security clearances? Now, when you still have your security clearance, it can be monetized because corporations then or media like to talk to people that still have access to top secret information. If you have your clearance, you have access to information, and then you can intentionally or unintentionally leak like top secret information. So there is no need. The need to know is a very famous term for many applications throughout life. There's in the military, the National Guard. You know, you didn't know anything. There was no need to know. There's got to be a need to know. These people don't have a need to know because they're not in the government now. He just wants to, and by the way back in like 2013, Obama had his people go through a whole bunch of people to think about or to remove their security clearance also. So it's not a new thing. It's been, it should be done. And for someone who is a massive enemy of the current administration to still have a security clearance is really a national security issue and very dangerous. So I support the president on this. Nothing's happened yet. He's put it out for discussion. And of course, some people, go, oh, that's not nice. But I think it's very nice.
It is very much so. Of course, there's the term called this anti-Trump. The anti-Trump trend is still there. And
it's just a
still there,
train of
still
hatred.
Strong. Well, it is different to be anti-Trump.
Yeah.
It is different from that you hold different views from Trump.
Totally
right?
different.
Yeah. For example,
Thank you.
I told my audience many times, I'm not been a Trump supporter myself, but I do issue by issue. There are issues. There are many, many issues. And by the way, to be honest with you, there are more and more issues I agree with him rather than disagree, which is a current, I would say, a current healthy trend going towards what's right versus what's wrong.
Our
Now,
country is
to
economically
be
strong.
so stubbornly, so constantly hold your own fort called anti-Trump, though, that's not healthy.
Well, in what?
Especially when it relates to national security.
Yeah.
You're talking about your clearance,
Yeah.
right? You might get your hands on some national security, and then using your position applied to your position, though, you might do something wrong. You might make yourself a treason.
Well, actually, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
Because some
You
of
might make
these
yourself a
activities are of that nature. Seriously, and I've said before, Jack, and I think it's true that really the hatred, the animosity toward President Trump is not really because of President Trump and the successes that he's achieving. It's because the radical left do not support our Constitution, because our Constitution does not support their agenda.
No,
And
they don't
that's a
say
big-
that. They don't say that.
But it is a
They
fact.
don't say that they are not supporting the Constitution.
That's their
but
enemy.
they do things in a way that you doubt what they do.
There's no question they want to change the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. They want to either eliminate or change them. There's no question about it. So the real thing is their agenda, which is going to socialism and radical activities now, is not allowed under a constitutional
And
republic.
also to apply to the term, after the meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Helsinki, lots of people giving criticism to that meeting.
Yeah.
And there are even people started using the term of treason thing towards what he did. I may not agree with their criticism to Donald Trump at that very meeting, though. I had two arguments to talk about. Number one, treason is too much a serious word.
It's a very serious
so
word.
never use it unless you really want to go the other way.
Right.
Right. Number two, the National Defense Committee of the Congress.
Yes, sir.
As of last night,
Yes, sir.
reached a decision, a conclusion, or resolution, call it resolution, and in which you could exactly see where Donald Trump is standing in between United States and Russia. He's becoming even tighter and tighter and
Absolutely.
tighter as versus the U.S. versus Russia.
22 different
That
actions taken.
that says exactly his position where
Right.
he is,
Right.
rather than by shaking hands or smiling too much or tapping on his shoulders. Those
Yeah.
are kind of minor. Those demeanor thing. Those demeanor thing.
Right.
Does not say who he is. It is under this administration, this resolution made by the National Defense Committee, though, which is a cross-partisan, cross-house,
Right.
right? So now that he says where Trump stands.
He's tough on Russia.
He's very tough on Russia. There's no military action of any kind, of any level of communication with Russia at this moment, at least for the next years foreseen.
Right. You know, and some of the people that, dislike Trump, they say, oh, he's been a Russian agent since 2006.
No, they're joking.
They're not joking.
They're joking.
They're not joking. No, that's the degree of falsehoods that can be uttered from ignorant people. Okay, because it's because they're saying Maxine Waters says.
Okay,
and
what is
Pelosi,
the next on our list, though?
Yes, boss.
We don't want to waste too much time.
Okay, this
on
is
those,
a big one. The next one.
The tax reduction.
Right. Now,
The tax reduction,
Yeah.
which is Oh, so good. Then let's talk about it.
Okay,
I like it.
here's the issue here, and it's really pretty. Actually, I can't wait to see what happens. All right, because I get excited about
All right, sure.
putting someone in a corner and making a man up to their positions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and when we had our first tax reduction law, you know, the reform type law, not one Democrat voted for it, and then one of the main reasons they said they wouldn't support it, which how do you not support letting people that earn their money keep
The
more of it?
non-supporters benefit from it too.
Well,
I mean, the non-supporters.
they bet. Yeah, well, of course they do.
yeah.
Sure, they get their taxes reduced. Yeah,
too, yeah,
but
yeah.
In a lot of those in
For
D.C.
example,
are
myself.
wealthy.
But for example, myself, I
Yeah.
paid 800 to 1,000 less as versus the year before,
Hallelujah.
which is good. Which is big money to me.
I still bend over for a dime anytime I see it. I do.
Yes, at my level,
Serious.
at my level, 800
It's
to
a lot of money,
$1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I could buy myself a beautiful computer, a laptop.
Absolutely.
Right? Sure.
So the thing. By the way, speaking of beautiful, I want to highlight to your beautiful viewers how sharp you look today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay?
Because the subject is sharp.
Yeah, I feel so inadequate. But anyway,
Oh, you're handsome.
I'll
You're
try to
handsome.
get through
You're
it.
handsome. You're
So what the Democrats were saying.
Keep on the tax reduction.
Yes.
I will look sharper.
Yeah, right. Keep the camera on check.
Okay, right.
But the so they said that one of the reasons is it was permanent reductions in the corporate tax, but only a certain number of years for the individual tax. So in this tax reduction 2, as they call it, it would make permanent the lower rates for individuals, and that would then take away their reason for not.
Disregard of different presidencies.
Well.
We would say permanent, though, right?
Yeah, it would make. Oh, yeah, no,
you're-
that can always. It would be in the law permanently, but the law can always be changed. So you're exactly right.
That's a different issue. I'm talking about this is not this for this term, for next term, or
Yeah, no,
whatever.
this would be-
This is gonna be going into law.
Yeah, whoever's the president after President Trump, it'd be the law.
Unless they push up another law to correct it.
Well, for example, like Elizabeth Warren, who is a pretty radical leftist senator, if they get a Democratic president in the House and the Senate again, they want to get rid of all the tax cuts and tax everybody at 50%.
I can't
That
wait.
would be
I can't wait to ask
insanity.
how much are we expecting.
Yeah, I know. It's really terrible. And this is the lady.
But now it's only a concept, right?
Well, it's going to be coming. They're drafting the
We
bill
do not have
now.
the actual draft yet, but
Not
the
yet.
concept is there.
The concept
it's going
is
to be
there.
called the tax reduction number 2.
It's got longer names, but yes. But so this is the
Very
thing,
good.
because then the Democrats that everyone voted against the law, the first one. And primarily because they said it was temporary for individuals. Now it'll be permanent. And then what are they going to come up with? I think some of them will vote for it. I think we'll get enough Democrats to
But
vote
it's good
for it.
we see the economy is booming, and on the other hand, we see tax reduced. Well, we see good things from both ends at the same time.
Well-
that is something we want to celebrate with. My dear friend, today in the weekly update, we started with something very new. Something make me excited. According to him, I look even sharper
Yeah.
for this. I dressed up for
Sharper
this.
image.
Right, sharper image for this. With my friend Ken Hamming, we're sharing the beautiful days of our nation. So we will be back right away. Dear friends, my lovely audience, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow with Ken Hamming, the lovely pair, the most handsome man on earth, are having some good moment
Or under earth.
for our weekly update. So Ken Hamming has been a supporter for this community forever since, and he is such a brave man. He stands for what's right, what's wrong. If you argue with him, if you prepare yourself to argue with him, unless you're 110% sure that you are backed up with lots of evidences, otherwise I recommend you won't start.
me
Because
too.
he will never ban.
I don't bend.
You will never ban. So welcome back to the show.
I love it here. Thank you.
What is on top of your list still?
Well, there's something really huge, okay? Carter Page was a person that was had an association with the Trump campaign, and there was a FISA application this is a very, very serious subject, okay? A FISA application that is then approved by FISA judges or disapproved by FISA judges to surveil the individual looking for dirt or for evidence of bad actions in the Trump campaign. Now, and they just released a 400-page, the basis for the FISA application, which was approved by the judges 4 different times, and which the FBI has a responsibility to verify everything that's in the application, so the judges have the belief that it's based on truth and supported evidentiary matter. And this was so overwhelmingly approved with the false statements and assurances of the FBI that the Steele dossier on Trump that alleged all kinds of horrible things in Moscow with girls and whatever, okay, had been verified, which it had not. It was a completely fictitious, phony document paid for by the Hillary Democratic National Committee. And so the 400 pages came out, highly redacted. Some pages are just all black, but it clearly demonstrated that the FBI did not follow the proper procedures to present to a judge to get a FISA application approved. And so this is, I mean, people could go to jail for this because it's really, they denied for the last year and a half that was the main supporting evidence to get the approval to surveil Carter Page, who was really a nothing. I mean, he's a nothing. Nothing. They thought maybe he's a Russian agent or something. He's a nothing. And so this is really huge, and we're going to get more information.
I don't understand the motivation all behind it. What is the motivation of it? The motive. I mean, the motive.
The motivation.
You're talking about under this statute of our great Constitution,
yes.
Right? Okay, now, whoever confirmed the President of the United States, is your president for the term, right?
Correct.
And then if he's elected next one, then he's still president of next one. Unless you can lawfully overturn him,
well, yeah,
or call him, he is still your president.
Absolutely,
right?
he
and
is.
You may apply to your freedom of expression,
right.
freedom of speech, or freedom of whatsoever to say different things. But defamation is totally for a different purpose.
Well, we are a country that does have privacy protections for us, privacy protections. So there has to be such overwhelming, truthful evidence that can surpass our privacy protection laws and be surveilled to try to find out information if you're doing something really bad.
So, by the way, that said, though, what's going on? I mean, what's going on? Where is the update? What for the 130 or 150 grams of transaction paid to a call girl or something?
Well, that's a different.
What was that? The update?
Well, that's okay. Well, that's a whole different thing. But
it's all included.
Well, it's
included in the defamation fight.
Well, what it is, it's all included in the left or the Democratic desire to, number one, to not allow President Trump to win the election. They were shocked out of their senses when he won it. And then now they're living with such hatred and animosity that they're doing anything possible, none of it logical, none of it rational, none of it legal, to try to ruin this president. And guess what? He just takes it, no problem. He just moves on, just like myself. I'm unoffendable. President Trump is unoffendable. Say everything you want. He just keeps on doing things for the American people.
So unless you can prove in the matter of law that I did it, and other than that, I don't even care.
He doesn't care because he didn't. I don't think he did a darn thing. I mean, his win was such a beautiful shock, the greatest day of my life, better than even when my daughter was born. Okay.
I like the fact that we have a booming economy. Right?
Friday morning.
I like the fact that we have the record-breaking of unemployment rate.
Absolutely.
Right?
People
And
must
I
work.
like the fact that we are again talking about tax reduction rather than
Absolutely.
tax increase. So, other than that, nah, not important.
The other thing that's really, really important that we ignore is spending less.
Remember Bill Clinton time over Monica Lewinsky,
I do.
right? So did the nation pay too much attention to the story even afterwards?
Well, let's face one reality. Over our 242 years of history, there's been some presidents that have not been perfectly faithful husbands, also, like John Kennedy.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not giving a comment to Bill Clinton myself, though. I am talking about us, we the people.
Right.
We the people are so understanding people.
Forgiving.
Forgiving
We
people.
are. We are.
Now you apologize, and looking at the record, you're still doing okay. And as a president, though, we let go. We let go thing, right?
Well, but,
Okay,
but
now.
President Trump hasn't
for
done
that
anything.
For that same thing, suppose he did it, all right? What's the big deal?
Well, actually, Dershowitz, who is one of the more famous lawyers in the world, says there's no crime and there's no impeachable actions from because celebrities are bribed all the time with accusations. It could happen to you, Jack. You know, I mean, it could happen to me, and we're not celebrities.
Look at the Me Too movement.
Right, exactly.
Look at the Me Too movement.
So
right?
these things, it's kind of like in the insurance business.
Unless,
you settle a lot of cases.
Unless you can knock the nail on the head right there, boom, right?
Right.
So
right.
until that very moment, though, just assume nothing has happened.
Right. Now, what Clinton did really stupidly was he denied it. All he had to say is, I messed up a little bit.
I would
played
say
around a little
during
bit,
the years
and I'm sorry. And then he'd never been impeached.
Over the more than 200, I can't exactly what it was the anniversary of the United States. By the time he committed the what is it called, a blowjob in the White House office, right?
Or whatever.
Okay, that was the first time. That was the first time ever in history.
It wasn't the first time.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, to the public though. That brought to public. I believe there might be some before, but I don't know. But that was a thing. But yes, we are so forgiving people. We even let it go.
Well, and President Kennedy, who I do respect, he wouldn't even be a Democrat now.
Why are we still talking about the same thing?
Well,
that thing over Donald Trump, and it's not even confirmed yet.
Because the media does not support Donald Trump in any way, and they supported
I
Clinton.
told you I'm not a supporter of Trump, though. However, on this thing, I would have to say what I wanted to say, though. Okay, come on, let's drop it.
But you're not a supporter, but you are a man of truth and honor. And the media is not a media of truth and honor anymore.
I believe what's right. I hate what's wrong. Right?
I live for the truth.
That's the thing. For a country with a bunch of people who can accuse Bill Clinton, suppose he did it, and that is confirmed.
Confirmed.
Now, why can't we excuse Donald Trump to say, suppose he did it?
Yeah, whether he did or didn't. Okay.
No. Suppose, assuming.
Well, I'm not going to assume. I'm not going to assume a negative circumstance.
No. Suppose, just assume. Let's back up for 100 steps.
All it would be is immoral. It wouldn't be illegal. It wouldn't be criminal, and it wouldn't be impeachable. So all it would be is immoral. And a lot of people do immoral things.
I call it defamation. That's it.
Yeah, they're just trying to defame his reputation. And guess what? It doesn't stick. Nobody cares anymore. You know, for example, what we've been listening to about this Russian collusion for 2 years,
probably.
Like, not even 1% of people consider that important. It's the last, it doesn't even, on surveys, it doesn't even measure up, and they're making all the noise about a Russian collusion, and nobody in America cares about it.
I keep on wondering, I can't help wondering, it's been almost 2 years already since he became the president, right?
Yeah, year and a half.
And now look at the record, look at the country though, right? Why can't we forget everything? What can we keep our finger crossed for the best to happen and look forward. That's the whole thing.
Well,
we're
here's
talking about.
a radical statement, but I believe it's true, and I'm not the one that originated this thought. There are people here in the radical left that despise Trump so much that they'd rather have a war with North Korea than peace, because peace is a successful activity if it works with President Trump, and then war is something they can go crying
I still meander the statement
Yes, sir.
that we'd rather risk politics for peace rather than risk peace for politics. Right?
Well, that is an iconic statement. We'll
Very
live a long
good.
time.
My dear friends, let's take a short moment out. We come back. I still want to meander over that little statement. I call it the statement of the century. Remember, that was last week?
It's
All right,
huge.
Stay with us.
Huge.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, it's our weekly update. Every week, we sum up what's important for the week. Of course, there are always more than we can sum up. We only pick up those most eye-catching subjects. Right? With me on this important day, which is on Wednesday every week, my good friend Ken Hemming. We are moving on to international. Let's talk about Europe.
Okay.
Right, what's going on in Europe? Oh, by the way, I really have to to meander that statement. I really like to chew it
Yes.
one more time.
Right.
To rather risk politics for peace than risking peace for politics.
Absolutely.
What a beautiful statement! It sounds like it's a poetic language, isn't it?
Actually, when I heard it
sounds
when he
like a
said
poem.
it live,
Sounds like a poem.
and I go, that is going to live.
I promise you, I'm going to write a piece
Okay.
about this statement.
Good.
And I'll show it to you next week.
Great.
That I will base my lines with this rather risk politics for peace
Yeah.
than risking peace for politics.
It's yeah.
What a beautiful statement.
Well,
Was he the creator of it, or anybody
Well,
said it before?
You know,
or
I don't
something?
know what percentage. You know, they've all got speech writers, but also, you know, I think our president's pretty smart. And remember, way back, all the speech writers did not want Ronald Reagan to say, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall."
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want him to say it. He said it anyway, and it's iconic beyond comprehension.
And it became true.
And
it became reality.
What a miracle!
And it became reality, and he is remembered forever.
Absolutely.
It is my president.
Right.
Forever. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so to Europe.
Okay.
What's going on there?
Okay, well, of course, now, you know, America, you drive around America, you see a lot of BMWs, you see Mercedes, et cetera, that, you know, come from Germany, okay? Even though some parts are made in America, too. But so today, President Trump is meeting with Jean-Claude Juncker. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but that's what they say on TV. I also like that name, Jean-Claude. I'd like that. But he's the head of the European Commission, and you know that's that group that's in Switzerland, and they basically, you know, they're not elected, but they have the power of making the members of the European Union conform to many decisions they make. And so this is one of the big reasons that England voted for Brexit, to get out of the European Union, because they were told you can't have your own borders, you can't dictate who's coming into your country. We're going to send you whatever immigrants we want to send. And so they said, hey, we don't need to be in this. In more countries, it's going to happen that way, I predict. Anyway, he is going to meet with President Trump today, and you know, Trump has said, look, let's get rid of all tariffs. Now, we're trying to then, they charge 25% tariffs on any of our cars going into Europe, and 2.5% we charge on their cars coming in here. So Trump says, let's make it the same then, or let's make it none. So today, the guys coming over here, there's a lot of anticipation there might be some sort of progress made in alleviating, the final application and reality of these tariffs. But we are not the bad people in this, okay? The other countries that have these very high tariffs, the European Union, China has high tariffs, and we're responding to try to get a better playing field. And I'm rooting for America on this, but the whole thing, it takes patience, okay? President Trump, I know one of my weapons, a good one, is patience. I cannot wait anything.
By the way,
so our people, like our farmers, okay,
Yeah.
they're being hurt right now, and so Trump's coming up with maybe $12 billion to help them, but I hope that's avoided too.
I know that the call for free trade within the union, though, is very strong. It's getting well, sooner or later it's going to get done.
I believe that.
And also, based on the philosophy, it is exactly the same if you mutually charge 100% or mutually charge nothing.
Yeah, you accomplish nothing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
100% would mean nothing, and nothing would mean 100%.
Yeah.
Either way, because you're doing this, right?
See, it wouldn't bother me if we don't have so many
That
Mercedes
said, though,
here.
That's it.
That's life.
That said, though, what's your take in between what's going on with China and the United States over the trade thing, over the tariff thing?
Well, in this regard, America has a very, very strong economy. In China, and I love China, okay? I love the people so much, Jack.
I love you loving China.
I do. I mean, absolutely. I love the culture so very,
of course,
very deeply. They are able to manipulate their exchange rates for their money, and they are able to levy high tariffs. It's very hard to get things into China, particularly like on companies. They want to possess all
talking
your
about the tariff trade only, though.
Okay.
I mean trade tariff only, though. Why can't U.S. and China do the same thing? Follow the same thing.
I do believe China will make some adjustments to their very high tariffs on our products. Right. I believe because Trump cannot wait.
As a matter of fact, they're doing it. They're doing it. As we speak, they reduce a tariff or tax or tariff on many items.
Okay.
Such as U.S. cars. Such as U.S. cars, right?
Okay.
So now, I really hope, out of my most naive mind, someday between U.S. and China, let's go to zero tariff thing.
Jack, I love our naivety because that's our hopes. That's a dream.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Nothing wrong to be naive.
Right.
Nothing wrong to be naive because we're peace-loving people.
And also,
didn't we say a while ago we'd rather risk politics for peace?
Absolutely.
This is peace here. Let's risk a little bit. Let's risk politics a little bit just for the lovely peace.
And see, look what Trump does. He does reach out to have a personal relationship with these leaders of the world. President Xi and President Trump, I think they get along fine.
They get along, and Donald Trump says several times, I like President Xi.
Absolutely. And he's visited Trump's house here and all that. This is beautiful stuff.
Do you think when the international trend are pushing them, though, each of them have to kind of show face a little bit?
Well,
you know what I mean, right?
Well, Trump is the art of the deal. I've read his book. I know the book. I know his mentality to get something done. And if you got to walk away, you got to walk away. Right now, talking about putting tariffs on there, that's a way of walking away from the current situation.
It has been unfair, right? Now, China is doing it, making it fair to the United States, and then it's like building a wall. Okay, well, you lay one brick on top. I do like this, right?
There's a lot more to do, but I do believe America and China will work out a much happier agreement. I really believe that, and I also believe, we really do have a we have the power that can, unless except for our politicians that just want to spew hate on President Trump for doing this to find anything he does to be evil. This is something that I think the trade with China and with the European Union will all be wonderfully improved for America and their benefit too.
Look into history, though. We had no excuse for not to be friends.
There is
right?
no
During hard times, let's say the Japanese war time, though.
That was hard times.
United States, the Americans, even risked their lives. They are volunteers.
They died over there.
They died over there.
Our guys died there.
They flew to China to help
Exactly.
Chinese.
Exactly.
And then for the same sake, the Chinese farmers hired the
That's
U.S.
right.
pilots. Well, for that purpose, one village of over two on record
Right.
of over 2,000 people were killed in the one morning.
I
In the
believe-
one morning
yes.
surge.
I'm familiar.
And they did not even give up. They still didn't give up. For friendship built upon that history, though,
Yeah.
come on. Let's forget it. Let's do the zero thing.
Right, just
with
do
the
it.
understanding that
Yeah.
it would come out at the end of the day the same thing if you do 100 and do 0%.
In this Friday, Jack, 8:30 in the morning, they're going to announce what the second quarter growth in our gross national product is. And they're talking, I don't know, they're talking 3.5% to 5%, but whatever it is, we haven't been there for a long time. And if we hit 4%, it's massively, our economy is on fire. It's rocking.
When the international relationship is talking about is concerned, or when bilateral trade is not bilateral. Trade is concerned, though.
Yes, sir.
This kind of conflict, sometimes when you have to play tough, well, it's necessary, quite a norm.
Right. And it takes patience when you do that.
It takes patience.
It
Okay.
does.
Tougher.
Right.
If you go that way, though, there's no end.
Right.
Right?
Right. But our
go
economy,
tough.
yeah.
Well, little easier and easier. If you reduce it, it go down, right?
But for example, like in North Korea, we're making some progress. Supposedly, they're disassembling one of their sites over there, according to our satellite stuff, and they're saying they are, and that's good. But also, we cannot release or reduce the restrictions until we've accomplished denuclearization.
On the other front,
you have to stay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
On the other front, for a country that can start a conversation with even Korea,
Yeah.
why can't they do the same thing with China, right?
And we are.
By logic, right? By logic.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a very big hope. We keep our fingers crossed that the U.S. and China will get along because we have the history, we have the foundation, we have the very basic for being friends rather than being anything less than a friend.
And also along those lines, there's information out there that about a 7-page letter has come to the White House from the president of Mexico that has some really good offers for greater cooperation between Mexico and America.
Oh, exactly.
Now, this is huge.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
Look, Mexico, obviously.
It's working. It's working.
It's working.
The policies are working, my dear friends. Let's take a short moment now. We'll come back to still plow more. We have more than we can talk about.
A couple more. Yeah. No, they're
Okay,
big.
we'll be right back. Hello, dear friends, the lovely audience, and welcome back to the show, Jack Chow, with Ken Hamming on the weekly update. As a matter of fact, we're having lots of good subjects to talk about, and we're having fun by talking about the good subject. First, we have a beautiful country. We have a beautiful tendency of going better and better. First, our economy is booming, and on the other hand, we look at our tax. Our pockets are getting fatter than before because of less tax, and of course, there is always time when we can talk about our health care. That's another issue you and I need to talk about.
Oh, that's big.
And in the meantime, internationally, we have the European Union members.
Yes.
They're kind of well informed about their fees, about their dues, right?
Right.
I believe
they're well
working
informed.
on it. In the meantime, they're talking about the seize the tariff war, going free trade, something like that, which looks very hopeful. And now, in between the United States and Mexico, though, you just mentioned. Now that you mentioned, though, what's going on there?
Well, I don't have any details, but the president of Mexico has stated supposedly in this letter, which obviously I haven't read, that he wants that he is willing to work more closely with America on border issues. Now that's huge.
Okay, very good.
Because also at times Mexico refuses to do anything. In fact, they escort these immigrants, through their country safely to get to come to America and give us the grief that comes with that.
Okay.
So this could be big, and then so like the NAFTA, which is Canada and Mexico, will improve our trade relations with Canada also. It's going, Trump's going after all these things that have been ignored for 50 years, 40 years, 30 years,
Last
20
week with
years.
my friend Chris Nibby. You know Chris
I
Nibby,
love
right?
Chris.
Okay. He's a lovely
just
guy
great.
with a beautiful set of mind.
Yeah, he does. He's
we
good.
were talking about the film Sicario.
Okay.
Number 2, I believe it's number 2, which is based upon true stories of what's happening at the U.S.-Mexican border.
Oh, okay.
It was.
I should see that.
It sounded to me as a bloody war going on there forever.
There are a lot of bodies.
And lots of people told me that it's not just yesterday and not just last week. It's a norm. It's a norm. It's a reality over there, right, along the line. Okay,
Oh,
now, there are tribes. There are the Coyote tribes, right,
Yes.
who are fighting amongst each other.
Oh, yeah.
And the U.S. fight with them.
Right.
And all together, it's a mess. It's all jammed up like a mess, right? Okay. And that very discussion between me and Chris Nibby,
yeah.
we came to a conclusion. The only solution is to have U.S. government involved.
Well, part of the U.S. government involvement is a wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Wall's one thing.
Yes, sir.
Wall's one thing.
Right.
Here it might be a second thing, which is quite an option.
Okay.
Quite an option that U.S. Here is the money. Let's open a free zone or trade zone whatsoever. The government effort of Mexico gets in there with U.S. aid of money. For the same amount of money, or the wall money, though, we can create a zone over there. So
Where?
people, I mean, at the border.
Okay.
At the border. When people can get themselves a better life, why would they come to the States, to the United States? Right? That will eliminate the problem, the pressure, right? Alleviate the pressure, right? So of going into the border, into the United States rather than.
But here's the thing that will make that not work. It would have if you're saying there's a zone where Mexican people or South American people can get a kind of a free zone and have a better opportunity to make a living, unless it's equally available to all Mexicans, that's just radical discrimination. And so that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Whoever comes to the zone, though,
Yeah.
let's enlarge the zone. On and on and on. With the same amount of effort, the same amount of money, though, I believe Mexico can do it. With the U.S. aid, they can do even better. Now we are talking about a wall, be it a physical wall or literally a wall whatsoever, or a cyber wall whatsoever.
Yeah.
And wall is a wall, right? And then let's tighten the whole thing from all directions. Probably will get done rather than what it says in the film. Killing.
Right, that's not good.
Killing.
Right. Well, Jack, one thing.
Bloodshedding.
You're talking about investing American money to help accomplish what you and Chris were talking about. One thing I think.
Use partially of the wall money.
Well,
The $250 billion.
25 billion. Yeah.
No, 250.
I don't think so. 25 billion.
25 billion?
Yeah. But the thing is, any of my tax money that goes to helping Mexico accomplish something, you must not forget the incredible entrenchment of corruption throughout the Mexican
All right, okay,
culture.
I agree. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah,
It's pretty serious.
I know what you mean. Yeah. The money could
pretty
go
serious.
into a black hole.
Yeah, that's right. Just like our $180 billion that went to Iran, a lot of it is going to terrorism to kill Americans. I mean, just that's a simple fact. Now,
right,
Iran is the next really big thing. Shall we chat for a second?
Okay, sure, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's move on to Iran.
The mullah of Iran, Khomeini, the chief, he just issued a major threat against the United States that, we canceled the treaty, which I think was horrendous. And he said, if we do anything aggressive or whatever, then we'd be involved in a war of all wars. Now, then President Trump, in all caps, God bless him, just stated to the Iranian government, do not threaten the United States. In the past, you can yell death to America, you can threaten us, and you got away with it. You will no longer get away with it. If you take any actions or you make threats against us, you will pay a price that you can't conceive of.
Do not make a wrong judgment.
Right. And President Trump
or
will
the
follow through.
consequences are going to be serious.
Yeah, he will follow through. We had a red line in Syria with Obama. They broke, they used their chemical warfare, and we did nothing.
So far, we still have room to tighten the string
of
the sanctions, right?
With Iran, much more room
Iran.
to tighten that, and also the Iranian people.
We still have. I'm only asking if we still have room.
Well, they just, a lot of room. But they also
room, right?
just came out, Pompeo just came out describing a $95 billion slush fund that the Khomeini has under his control to use for whatever they want. It's not going to the Iranian people. And the Iranian people are getting closer and closer to a true revolution and to rebellion, to change their government. Now, the government has...
Are you saying we can do what we did with Iraq?
Well, we would not have to go in there. This could be from within, and also
Of course, time has changed, right? We don't have to go there.
The Muslims, the Islamists that run Iran might even, who knows? You could see Trump meeting with them in person and, cutting a deal, because otherwise... they don't have a nuclear weapon now.
I have no problem.
We're not going to let them have one.
I have no problem with us tightening the string to sanction Iran.
Right.
I do have a problem if we wage another war.
Well, Jack, we can have whatever problems we want to have. If it comes to the situation that the only way we can keep them not having nuclear weapons to be used against us, and obviously first against Israel, I would rather have them die first than us. And so if it's necessary, I don't think it will be, but if it's necessary, if you don't do something, you lose.
I'm not supporting wars. I'm
supporting the security and safety of America.
In the very beginning of the Iraq War for all 5 years, and then it lasted till the 7th or even the 9th year of the Iraq War, I was in the very upfront against the Iraq War.
That's fine. Do you support World War II?
I did, of course.
Of course,
I support the bomb, even the U.S. bomb to Japan.
Right.
Those are lovely gifts, right?
And I've been at the bomb pits where those bombs were waiting to be flown over to Japan.
Okay. Anyway.
But anyway, so yes, nobody wants war, but I'd rather have war than submission and death.
Whenever there is still room of tightening the strings of sanctions, though, we'll go for it.
Yeah, I think
let's do it that way.
We
can do it. We can tighten all the bank account, right? We can frozen all the bank account.
We're doing a lot.
We can seal up
we can
seal up the water, right? No shipment, no nothing at all. Anything moving, we stop.
Well, and you have to do that with force too, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
You would rather do forces outside like that.
See, for example, before the Iranians had some of their small gunboats, threatening our ships and shooting at different things, some really stupid things. It hasn't happened for over a year because they know if they do that, Trump will just shoot them out of the water.
Oh yeah, of course. That's a different story.
But before, our administration wouldn't do it.
That's another story. That's a totally different story.
Yeah, and it's a good one.
We're still about the water. We're still about any roadways. If there is the roadways, moving along cargo whatsoever.
And don't forget, Saudi Arabia and some of those other countries over there, they're with Israel and America right now against Iran. Iran is causing major problems.
Okay, let's do something. And I believe that we will do something because we have the upper hand on the situation. We have option in between keeping on sanctions and other ways of doing it. Right. Even though the other ways of doing it, I do not support, such as wars. Well, if there is a war, there is a war, right?
Yeah, there's a war, there's a war.
You can't
but I don't
clap
think,
your,
I don't think it's
your
going
hand, you can whatever.
See, and there's a difference between a war and a military action, too.
All right, good. All right, my dear friend, and that concludes for today's weekly update with me, my friend Ken Hemming. We've done a great job. I believe that we brought you information we believe necessary for you to be aware of. So we'll do it again next week. Next week we'll be talking about the radical laws of lovely California.
Right.
And if there is a chance that there will probably will talk about something about the beautiful slogan, beautiful statement that we promised our audience. You and I probably will co-author it.
Right. Well, we'll steal it from the president.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So, see you next week.
Thank you, Jack.